Tonight, Territorians turn out in their thousands to say a rowdy goodbye to 2024. Good evening, I'm Isabella Tolhurst. This is ABC News Northern Territory. Also tonight, hundreds of previously secret cabinet records in Canberra and the NT made public in the annual archives release. The UN warns Gaza's health system is on the verge of total collapse and that Israeli attacks on hospitals could amount to war crimes. And in a Sydney to Hobart race marred by tragedy, the final yacht crosses the finish line. From fireworks shows in Maningrida to masquerade-themed parties in Alice Springs, Territorians welcomed the start of the new year with characteristic enthusiasm. In Darwin, thousands braved erratic weather and an early downpour, with skies clearing for the 9 p.m. fireworks display. But storms forced event organisers to move the midnight show forward half an hour, with many opting to ring in the new year inside pubs, clubs and bars.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
And just like that, a new year begins. With confetti rain inside packed clubs and pubs, outside, Mother Nature gave a classic wet season welcome to 2025. It was a sunny start to New Year's Eve celebrations.
Happy New Year!
The keenest braving the searing afternoon sun.
It's hot and busy and really fun to swim in the water.
Is it any cooler up there? Are you getting a breeze? Actually, as you said that, the breeze did just come through. It's a bit warm.
While thousands down south camped out and queued in Australia's most laid-back city, it was as easy as rolling out a picnic blanket and enjoying the show.
Just to be down here with all the families and stuff like that, it's great. And it's great to have these guys up for a wet season. I don't know why they've come up for a wet season, but they have. They've come to experience it.
But then a rumble from above, and seconds later, some hardened locals choosing to tough it out.
We're here for it. Yeah, we just put our blankets over our heads.
The top end's notorious wild weather catching some interstate visitors off guard.
Some really kind locals told us to run, and they helped the pram up the stairs and they said get under cover. They knew it was coming.
Through heat, sweat, mud and rain, nothing was going to stop these Territorians welcoming another year in paradise. Happy New Year!
As light shows and fireworks lit up the sky, people were setting their sights on the future.
I'm going to a new school next year and I'm hoping I make new friends.
I graduated this year, so it's like another new life.
I would like more of this, more adventures and more fun.
There was plenty of that on Darwin's party strip.
Really great!
Hang out at 10, man. I come out here like every weekend and this is wild.
Partygoers eager to clear the decks.
We're leaving behind every toxic person in 2024. And haters and just no. Bad vibes!
And set some New Year resolutions.
Really mature ourselves. No more clubbing. No. Gym every single day, getting absolutely ripped.
Police said people were mostly well behaved. And while some will undoubtedly be having a tougher start to 2025 than others, across the Northern Territory hopes it's the beginning of a bright and memorable new chapter. Olivana Lathuris, ABC News.
Millions of people around the country and the world watched as Sydney's harbour lit up to farewell 2024 and bring in 2025. It was a fireworks show bigger than ever before, and revellers left the city's vantage points with glowing reviews.
4, 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year!
Sydney exploded into 2025, the harbour erupting in light and colour. More than 1 million sets of eyes witnessed the spectacle from the foreshore, along with hundreds of millions around the world, watching Sydney at its best.
Pinch me. Pinch me. This isn't real.
Unbelievable. Like, it feels like I'm in a movie. Like.
This year's show lit up the western side of the bridge for the first time in the event's history.
The western side of the harbour, having access to those fireworks off the bridge was a massive success. It meant that more crowds could get around the harbour at different vantage points.
Spectators who'd come from all corners of the globe gave the display shining reviews.
Worth it, I think. Yeah, for sure.
100% worth it.
It was amazing. The best one. Beautiful.
It's been a big night and a long day for many. Now comes the slow journey home. Authorities have asked people for patience as they make their way.
Major transport problems were feared, but with industrial action put on hold, disruptions ended up being minor.
In the end, there was about 5 minutes worth of delays, but Sydney Trains were able to get all services back to their regular running within the hour.
Come sunrise, early risers and late-night partygoers converged on the beach to wash off the year that was.
I've been just dancing all night and drinking, sleep for half an hour and came here to see the sunrise.
One family welcomed the new year with a new child. Baby Sean arrived at midnight.
I plan to go to Darling Harbour, see the firework on 11:30 maybe or 11, but I start painful 11 o'clock. Lucky I didn't go there.
So Sean wanted to party.
Yeah, Sean wanted to party. He like party, see? He opened the eyes, he happy.
New life and hope for the year ahead. Sean Tarek Goodwin, ABC News, Sydney.
It wasn't just fireworks flashing up skies at countdowns around the world. Holograms in London and massive drone displays kept revellers entertained. But new technology was also mixed with tradition. The iconic midnight ball drop in Times Square was watched by more than 1 million people in New York, one of the last major cities to say farewell to 2024. In Ukraine, there was cautious hope on the front lines and renewed optimism in Syria, with the promise of change in 2025.
As Big Ben struck midnight, love was in the air, and London's skyline lit up in red, white and blue. The show featured cameos from sports stars and beloved fictional characters, welcoming 2025 in spectacular fashion for revellers along the Thames. Other partygoers around the UK not as lucky, with celebrations called off because of bad weather. Even Scotland's famous Hogmanay event cancelled.
We're super bummed out. Obviously, we totally understand safety is definitely the most important thing, and the weather is getting a bit extreme.
But the party went on across the Channel in Paris, with captivating lights on the Arc de Triomphe. And after midnight, a fireworks extravaganza over the crowds gathered at the Champs-Élysées. People braved the cold in Berlin to welcome the new year at the city's iconic Brandenburg Gate. In Greece, celebrations were a little more subdued, with a silent drone display over the ancient Parthenon in Athens. Claiming the global record, a 57-minute display in Dubai. The world's tallest skyscraper was the centrepiece, with fireworks exploding from the sides of the building. And in Damascus, people danced under fireworks at the Christmas market, waving the green, white and black revolution flag less than a month since President Bashar al-Assad was deposed. In Georgia, thousands of pro-EU protesters celebrated in front of Parliament, singing and toasting to a European future.
After seeing so many people so happy and with this unmatched spirit, I'm 100% confident that we're going to achieve victory.
A curfew emptied the streets of Kyiv after midnight, with President Zelensky declaring 2025 the year of Ukraine in a video address.
We know that peace will not be given to us as a gift, but we will do everything to stop Russia and end the war.
As the sun rises on 2025, the world says goodbye to another challenging year. Laura Yumshajakian, ABC News.
Hundreds of previously secret cabinet records have been made public in the National Archives' annual release. They provide an insight into the Howard government's increasing concern about the safety of troops deployed to Iraq, but keep hidden much detail on deliberations on the maritime border with Timor-Leste. Political reporter Nicole Hegarty has this report.
A handshake that went down in history.
How are you, Mark? Good, how are you? I'm very well.
An election year, 2004, would see a significant focus on national security amid the ongoing war on terror.
Who do you trust, importantly, to lead this country?
Howard would go on to secure a fourth and final term in office, increasing his majority. That year, Australia's involvement in the war in Iraq continued to dominate cabinet discussions, Howard making a flying visit to Baghdad on Anzac Day. Cabinet documents from 2004 include, for the first time, papers from the National Security Committee which were not referred to the full cabinet. 2004 began with the US conceding its argument that Iraq possessed extensive stockpiles of weapons. Australia's basis for sending troops was without foundation.
There was plenty of evidence of a capacity through programs to develop them very rapidly.
Papers provide a glimpse into the Cabinet's deliberations on Australia's engagement. By July, Foreign Minister Alexander Downer was warning Australia's engagement strategy had to assume Australians would be targeted and possibly kidnapped by insurgents. Negotiations continued with Timor-Leste over lucrative oil and gas reserves. Negotiations, it would later emerge, were allegedly bugged by the Australian intelligence services. John Howard insists that hasn't caused lasting issues.
I don't think any permanent long-term damage has been done.
Terrorism struck the region. Australia's embassy in Jakarta bombed, leaving 10 dead. Nature wreaked havoc on Boxing Day, with a tsunami in Southeast Asia killing more than 220,000, including 26 Australians. Back home, the government would amend the definition of marriage to be between a man and a woman. The government also agreed to establish a fund of at least $1.5 billion to promote low emissions technologies. It may be 20 years ago, but the themes occupying Cabinet bear similarities to those of today. House prices and the economy were in focus, as was immigration, with the High Court allowing for the indefinite detention of non-citizens who couldn't be deported, a decision that would stand until November 2023. Nicole Hegarty, ABC News, Canberra.
The NT2 has been given an insight into the past with its release of its confidential records from 30 years ago. 1994 was the year of movies like Pulp Fiction and Forrest Gump. Miniskirts were in and Mariah Carey topped the music charts, with tourism, women's rights and Indigenous employment at the forefront of the agenda of the government of the day.
A trip down memory lane to the Never Never of the mid-90s.
It's surprising what you come across when you holiday around Alice and the Red Centre.
1994, the year Central Australia appeared on TV screens across the country, pitched as a must-see tourism destination.
And if golf's not your game, there's always marbles, the devil's marbles. But you'll never know if you never go.
The Aussie outback taking centre stage on the silver screen as well. 30 years later, previously confidential cabinet records from 1994 unveiled for the first time, revealing cultural tourism as a key priority for the country Liberal Party, led by the then Chief Minister, Marshall Perrin. Among the newly released documents, a 5-year territory tourism master plan focused on working with traditional owners to monetise the territory's natural assets.
They were looking on nature-based tourism and also looking onto the strengths of the territory, including the landscapes and I think the unique lifestyle, which we are seeing even in 2024, and I think that's a strong focus for the current government as well.
From the outside, Parliament looked much the same as it does today. But inside, Cabinet in 1994 was almost exclusively a place for white men, with no women or people of colour featured among the main decision makers of the time.
Whereas in 2024, we have like 4 female representation, including the Chief Minister.
Buried in the hundreds of pages of cabinet records from the time, a report detailing a plan for improving women's economic and health outcomes and eliminating domestic violence. The 1994 government also endorsing a plan to increase the rate of Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander people within the public sector. 3 decades later, those goals still a focus and still way off target. Olivana Lathouris, ABC News.
A national ban has come into force today, prohibiting the importation of fake stone products. Australia became the first country to outlaw the manufacture, use, supply and installation of engineered stone last year. It comes after workers developed silicosis from working with the products, once popular in kitchens and bathrooms. The new ban specifically targets engineered stone benchtops, slabs and panels coming into the country. An Indonesian tiger owner who faced backlash after revealing 7 cubs died under his care says he's determined to keep wild animals. While native Sumatran tigers are protected, imported Bengali tigers can be owned and traded in Indonesia, a top 10 country for the wildlife trade.
In a suburban house in the hills of the city of Bandung, some unusual backyard pets.
Oh, hello. Welcome to my home.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah, you're welcome.
This is the home of Alshad Ahmad, a 29-year-old YouTuber who is Indonesia's Tiger King.
Yeah, this is my bear cat.
Alshad's been building his home zoo for 5 years. Technically, it's a captive breeding program. There are 4 tigers here at the moment, and possibly more to come. How much can they mate in a day?
30 up to 50 times a day.
For how many days?
4 or 5 days.
So 4 or 5 days in a row?
Yeah.
And they can mate 30 to 50 times per day?
Yeah.
Wow, that's stamina. But tiger cubs are a bit of a sore point here. Alshad's gained millions of followers online for videos of cubs roaming around the family's luxurious home. But when he revealed that 6 out of 7 born here died, the backlash was swift.
What were they saying?
I cannot take care of tigers, I murder the tigers, yeah, something like that.
He says the mother had problems feeding the cubs, and only when he intervened to bottle wean them with imported tiger milk did 1 cub finally survive.
Well, animals is very hard to take care of because they are very fragile. Yeah, they look like strong, but actually they are fragile.
Animal rights activists here say authorities in Indonesia are too willing to grant permits to keep tigers in the name of conservation.
When up to 6 cubs are dying one after the other, we have to ask what's wrong. We need to review this practice of keeping tigers and ask if the births are followed by deaths. How is it conservation?
But Alshad Ahmad says the conditions he operates in are strict and he has big plans for the future.
Eventually, at the end, we want to build a zoo.
With a range of other animals taking up his family's front and backyards, he's already on the way. Bill Birtles, ABC News, Bandung.
The UN has condemned Israeli attacks on hospitals in Gaza, warning the action could amount to war crimes. The Israeli military claims Hamas militants are using the hospitals as command centres. But the UN Human Rights Office says the repeated strikes have the health system on the verge of total collapse.
Winter in Gaza brings the rain. Much of the displaced population are struggling to survive it in flimsy tents. And where they now have to go for healthcare isn't much better. This makeshift hospital in Khan Yunis is flooded as well.
I came to treat my son, but I found the hospital in such a state. This is a situation unfit for any hospital in the entire world.
the legacy of more than a year of war in which Gaza's hospitals have frequently been in Israel's firing line. This is what's left of Al-Shifa, previously the territory's biggest healthcare facility. Its destruction in March documented in a new UN report that identified 136 strikes on nearly 40 hospitals and health facilities.
From the destruction of buildings and facilities to the killings of patients, staff and other civilians, raising serious concerns about Israel's compliance with international law.
Israel maintains that Hamas use hospitals as command centres and the civilians inside as human shields. It rejects the report as being politically motivated. The UN says Israel has not released enough evidence to substantiate its claims.
The report covers attacks up until June 2024, but more have continued since then. Over the weekend, the Kamal Adwan Hospital was raided and indefinitely closed, drawing condemnation from the World Health Organization. There, the IDF arrested 240 people, including the hospital's director. Israel alleges they have ties to Hamas, but has not provided any evidence.
What little is left of health services in Gaza is in dire need of supplies. That aid, groups say, is struggling to get through. A lucky few can leave for care outside the territory, but it's an arduous process. Abia says goodbye to her children. Her son suffers from kidney disease and must travel to receive dialysis.
He's never been away from me. I don't know how they will deal with him. I tried with multiple parties to get help so that I can accompany my son, but I get rejections and we don't know why.
A painful separation, a child of Gaza's only hope. Matthew Doran, ABC News, Jerusalem.
Australia wicket-keeper Alex Carey has backed pace bowler Mitchell Starc to push through the pain and be ready for the fifth and final test against India.
A pre-match pep talk from the Prime Minister.
PM's 11, fine pick.
It was all because of you. Anthony Albanese plays peacekeeper between Australia and India ahead of a historic series decider in Sydney. Earlier, there were even more smiles at the SCG, with the McGrath Foundation announcing that it will expand care services to people with any type of cancer.
With breast cancer, there wasn't too many people that hadn't been touched by it in some way, shape or form. And now that we're providing support for all cancers, there's not a single person in Australia that doesn't have a personal story to tell.
Picturing their first series win against India in a decade, the Aussies are confident speedster Mitchell Starc will bowl through the pain.
He'll grimace, he'll grab his rib, no doubt, throughout times, but he'll be ready for the contest.
While the home side hit the nets, India spent the day recovering from their dramatic Boxing Day loss.
Oh, big shot, finger goes up!
As serious question marks hang over the heads of out-of-form captain Rohit Sharma and an unusually quiet Virat Kohli.
Champions of the game find ways to come out and perform, and they're champions.
The last time these two sides faced off in a test here, India held on for a draw, but that won't be an option for them this time round. It means the tourists will also need Sydney's weather on their side if they want to hold on to the Border Gavaskar trophy they've held since 2017.
There's been a few complaints about the weather, but I've had a chat and we should be fine with the weather for this 5 days.
Paving the way for a heated finale. Ethan Ricks, ABC News, Sydney.
In tennis, Australia's Kim Birrell has started her new year in the best possible fashion, recording her second ever win over a top 10 opponent. The world number 113 stunned American Emma Navarro in 3 sets to move into the last 16 at the Brisbane International.
Kim Birrell is ranked outside the women's top 100, but the Australian wasn't overawed by her Brisbane International second round opponent, second seed American Emma Navarro.
Got it.
Stunning the world number 8 to take the first set 7-5.
And Birrell has the first set.
And despite an improved second set from Navarro, Birrell was too good, recording the biggest win of her career to move into the third round.
What a way to start a calendar year.
I've spent so many hours on this court since I was little. I watched the Brisbane International when I was a kid, and to get to play here and have a tournament that's basically at home is so special.
The unlikely pairing of Nick Kyrgios and Novak Djokovic looked to take their doubles campaign past the second round, but came up against the top-seeded pair Nikola Mektic and Michael Venus, who took the first set 6-2. Djokovic and Kyrgios clawed their way back into the match, taking the second to force a super tiebreak. But despite leading 7-4, Mektic and Venus stormed back to move into the third round.
They've knocked out Kyrgios and Djokovic.
The United Cup continues with Great Britain's Katie Boulter making light work of Australia's Olivia Gadecki to take the first set 6-2 and leave the hosts' hopes of progressing hanging by a thread. Poland and Czechia went to their mixed doubles, vying for a spot in the qualifying finals, and the powerhouse pair of Iga Swiatek and Hubert Hurkacz got the job done in straight sets.
What a way for Team Poland to move on through.
Germany's United Cup defence came to an end in Perth, not helped by a bicep injury to Alexander Zverev, which forced him out of the men's singles. The world number 2 could only watch from the sidelines as Kazakhstan won the singles to progress, with his attention now turning to the Australian Open, which starts in 11 days. Tom Wildey, ABC News.
The Sydney to Hobart yacht race is over for another year, with the final boat reaching the finish line this morning.
On the sparkling waters of the River Derwent, Saltline sails into Hobart, becoming the 74th yacht to cross the finish line.
Mighty Salty!
After 5 days and 20 hours at sea, it was an emotional reunion for loved ones.
It's been very stressful. We haven't slept either.
I miss him!
Obviously we're at the tail end of the fleet, so to finally get in, it's yeah, fantastic. Bit of a boyhood dream to compete, so it was nice to be a part of it.
The crew had hoped to reach Hobart for the New Year's Eve celebrations, but calm conditions delayed their arrival.
We thought, yeah, it was a chance to make the fireworks, but nah. We had a little tot of rum and a little celebration on New Year's Eve just to celebrate.
Yachts have been arriving in Hobart since Saturday, some making it just in time for the fireworks.
It was getting close. 6 hours out, we had 30 mile to go, so we had to average 5 knots. And we had half hour to spare, so we thought we were pretty lucky with that one.
This year's race has been marred by tragedy with the deaths of 2 sailors, challenging conditions forcing 30 yachts to retire. But dozens of others successfully completed the epic journey across Bass Strait and the east coast of Tasmania. Law Connect claiming line honours and Celestial being declared the overall winner. Salt Lines might have been at the tail end of the fleet, but simply finishing the race is a victory for the crew.
So a lot of these guys, some of them have never sailed before, you know, aside from our training weekends, so that's a massive accomplishment for them.
An accomplishment worth cheering for. Jano Gibson, ABC News.
Time for a look at the weather, starting with this viewer photo sent in by Leanne Jarrett-Sims. A sunny first day of the year in both Darwin and Alice Springs, some isolated storms north of Daly Waters and a windy day in the south. It was 34 degrees in Darwin today, 37 in Jabiru and 36 degrees on the Tiwis. Zooming out, it reached 40 degrees in Katherine, 35 in Nhulunbuy and Borroloola, 41. Tennant Creek heated up to 40, Alice Springs 39. On the satellite, scattered clouds lie across Western Australia. It's mostly clear in the Northern Territory and storm clouds are deepening over Queensland. A horseshoe-shaped trough extends through the country, pushing rain and storms into the north. A high in the south is directing dry heat into South and Central Australia. Around the country tomorrow, showers in Brisbane, a top of 27, shower or 2 for Sydney, 24 there. Canberra, cloudy, 25, Melbourne, partly cloudy, 21. Hobart with grey skies, 20 degrees, sunshine in Adelaide, heading for a top of 29, and Perth, sunny, 30 degrees the top. Around the Territory tomorrow, 39 and sunny in Alice Springs, 41 degrees in Tennant Creek and Elliot. Further north, Katherine heading for a top of 39, Nhulunbuy 34, Borroloola and Mataranka 41. And in the west, Darwin set for a 35-degree day, 38 in Jabiru, 35 in Dundee Beach and Wadare. The afternoon low tide will be at 1:45 tomorrow and winds will reach up to 10 knots off Darwin. The sun will rise tomorrow at 6:24 and you can watch it set at 7:17. And taking a look at the rest of the week, the chance of storms and heavier rain is increasing in Darwin from Friday, while in Alice Springs, very hot and mostly sunny, 39 tomorrow, and then temperatures in the 40s for the following 6 days. And that's ABC News for this Wednesday night. Thank you for your company. Good night.